Hello, everybody. I'm going to show you today how you can go from a post like this by somebody on LinkedIn, some cool points here, great content, you want to know more, how you can go from this to a 20-minute, in this case, 28-minute, I think, 29-minute podcast style audio and some much more easily consumable data that goes into depth that you can either use as your own just to teach yourself more about the topic or use for content in the case that I have here. So let's get started. What we're going to do is what we've done is copied this. So Marcus here has given us some really great food for thought here at a very high level, and it's all super great. And then what we've done is gone into Gemini, and we've used Gemini Deep Research, and I've just said, find some methods and systems to use to enable these changes for customer success managers in 2025, and then I pasted in the points that were made in that post. You could tweak your prompt here, whatever you are sort of looking for, you can give it this direction, but I specifically wanted to dig into, okay, cool, these are all really great ideas, but what are the things I can actually do to sort of get to them? What are the actions I need to take? So that's sort of what I was looking for here. Now, deep research is going to go and do some deep research. First, it's given me hey, this is what I'm going to do. Does this sound cool? And I said, start research, yeah. And it went ahead and did all the who's it, what's it. You can see here it gave me very in-depth, a lot of information. It used a whole lot of sources. It gave a whole lot here. Now, this is great if you want to read it. If you are the type of person that just wants to read through this at this very specific detailed level, this is amazing. You're going to learn a lot from this because deep research is going to go and pull all kinds of sources online. As you can see here, it's going to use all of these as sources to pull in data to inform what it's giving you in its research. So that's super, but it's a lot to post if you wanted to turn it into content. So from there, I actually just took that, I pushed it from here. You can actually push it into a Google Doc, export to Google Doc. What I then did is went over to Google NotebookLM. If you're not using NotebookLM, you're missing out on a lot of easy knowledge that's super accessible. I created a new notebook, and as one of the sources, I just added the Google Doc that I had just created from Google Gemini, export to docs, NotebookLM, create a new notebook, source, doc, and it now is looking at that source that you just got from Gemini. And then what you can do from here is you can sort of ask it specific questions. You can fill up, get all these details if you want to sort of break stuff down. It's really good at looking only at that information. So it's going to reduce or entirely remove hallucinations and that kind of thing. And it's not going to the internet. It's only looking at this information that you have here. So you can ask it some questions, save bits and pieces, really dig in on some of it and get more clarity, especially since what it gave us was so long. So you can oh, that's a lot, right? Ugh. So ask it some specific questions here, and that's what these are here. I've sort of saved, sorry, let me close that. I've saved a few questions that I asked just to sort of get it smaller. That's all great for learning. You can dive into this, take a lot from it. May not always be super applicable, but it's really going to give you a really great place to start your learning journey to get where you want to go. But the real fun part here is, it doesn't show here now because I've already generated it, but you can generate this podcast style back and forth.
All right, so you're here with us today. What other types of outcome-based metrics are important?
Next, we've got customer progress metrics.
Right? So you've got that happening. I hope that played through. So it's going to produce that, and it's actually going to look at this whole document that you just got from Deep Research and Gemini and produce this back and forth between these two people. And now you just turn this giant document that's quite a lot to read and pretty heavy into a much more consumable format where you could just sit here and listen and get a lot of the points. What I then did from there, actually, is I went back into Gemini in a different chat, and I took this big, long chunk, all of this details, and I said, can you turn this into a more consumable version that I can post to a blog? And I gave it a few more prompts, like, don't use this language, or keep it accessible and that kind of thing, because I really wanted to kind of dumb it down a bit and just make it more accessible and easier to read. So I used this download for the audio because it's in depth, and because it's audio, it's a bit easier to sort of just take in. And then I built in Gemini, again, the smaller, sort of more accessible version of the text, which is what this is, and then threw this into Substack. So yeah, that's it. So effectively, I just took this post that is really great starting point, some really great points here that are nice to dive into, went into Gemini, said, hey, deep research in Gemini, let's look at how we can actually action some of these things. Build me a report. It built me this super in-depth report. Nice, love it, lots of detail. And then went into NotebookLM and I said, hey, let's create a podcast style audio for this so that I can listen to this. And then I took that podcast, I uploaded it here to Substack, and I went back to Gemini as well and took that big long output from Gemini, and I asked Gemini to just rewrite it in a more consumable way, and I use that as the text. So now I have a fairly quite informative podcast style audio as well as some text to go with it. Now you don't have to go and post this to a Substack and anything like that. What I really wanted to show here is how easy it is. This only took me about half an hour, if that, how easy it is to take something from like this from LinkedIn that's like, wow, and turn it into something much more in-depth and much more valuable and useful to you. So yeah, okay. I'll see you all later. Bye.